Allah Allah kaisa pyara naam hai, aashiqon ka meena aur jaam hai. So now, one is the amal of Qurbaani, sacrificing for the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala, fulfilling this very great ibadat of Qurbaani, which is wajib on those who have that minimum amount. And many, unfortunately, who Qurbaani is wajib on them, but on the excuse that, well, I don't have the cash now. Why we don't have the cash? Well, I don't have the cash now, just managing this. But how much was being spent on eating out over the past few months, for example? Sometimes if the last 3-4 months alone is just taken into account, so many a person doesn't have the cash for Qurbaani, but he spent more than that Qurbaani amount in the past 3-4 months on eating out, taking his family to eat out. So sometimes we hear things which is a bit hard to digest. They say now in one eating out was over 1,000 rand spent. 600 rand, 700 rand on one occasion of eating out. Now some people are eating out like that twice a month, somebody once a month. So they would have easily been able to afford that Qurbaani animal. But now that desire to now follow this lifestyle and eat out here, there, though now it's costing so much, that's another matter altogether. Then that culture of eating out, and then what kind of environment is out there, all that is another issue. But in any case, now there's no money for Qurbaani. Whereas if we had the value of Qurbaani in the heart, and we understood what a great ibadat this is, and then if it is wajib on a person, then he'll do everything in his means to make sure that wajib gets fulfilled properly, correctly. So coming back to the discussion, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was commanded to slaughter his son. He was ready. Despite all the natural human nature and feelings, but Allah's command is supreme. My feelings are nothing. So now coming to our situation, mashallah, on the one side is Qurbaani, the amal of Qurbaani, but now what goes along with it? So now sometimes one of the things is to select a good animal and to do the Qurbaani wholeheartedly. So now in selecting the animal, we are also roaming around here, there, this farm, that farm, without any kind of concern for hijab and who we intermingling with and how we mixing up with who and what's going on. And wherever there's animals being sold in some places, public places. So now just all kinds of intermingling happening there, what not going on. Then some fairs taking place in the name of Qurbaani and in the name of Qurbaani animals. And then it becomes a big mix-up and a whole party atmosphere. And then because the subject of the whole thing is Qurbaani animals, the title on top of it is that it is a Qurbaani fair. And the name of it is Islam. That there's something to do with deen. So now in the name of deen, anything and everything goes. In the name of deen, that is fine now what kind of intermingling, what kind of lack of hijab takes place there, and the kind of things that happen, and all kinds of entertainment now is gone into that different direction. So whatever else, one thing leads to another. But now the whole spirit of Qurbaani has been then killed in the process. Then come the day of Qurbaani itself. So now it's very exciting to see now big animals especially being slaughtered. One is somebody is doing some sheep, but now there's some places where now people are slaughtering some cattle, and it's not something we see often. So now to go and see how it's done. So now very exciting. But then in that process, what is going on and how much of intermingling takes place, how much of the laws of hijab are trampled. So nobody is saying that it is impermissible to watch some Qurbaani being performed, but not at the expense of the commands of Allah Ta'ala being trampled. Otherwise, the whole spirit of Qurbaani has been lost. So now it's our desire. We want to see something. We want to see how this is done. But there's a line. We can only do what is within that line. And that line is what Allah's command is. Allah Ta'ala's command that this is not permissible, then we can't cross that line. So the spirit of Qurbaani is taqwa. لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. It's not that whatever somebody is doing, everybody now is, or many people are doing something, so now we also just follow suit. We have to see what is the line of deen. Many a times, some things just take an apparent, like a kind of, call it a color, just for the sake of the word, call it a color, it gives it a certain color. Now outwardly there's a certain color. Color of what? Color of something to do with Islam. That's a color from outside. Or the color of something to do with Muslims. So now, because it's got a color of something to do with Muslims, mainly Muslims are involved in that, or Muslims are participating in that particular thing, so now it becomes like a kind of Muslim thing. But the issue is it Islam? Is it really deen? Is it within the confines of deen? Now one person, he says, no, this is creating a very good atmosphere. You know, that Deeni brotherhood. What's creating the Deeni brotherhood? He says, no, they're going to play padel. And now that atmosphere in those courts, and that brotherhood, and then after that somebody added, but also the sisterhood also coming together side by side. And now, in that padel, Allah knows best what shaitan is peddling. What kind of illicit things shaitan is peddling in that. Now because this person is going here and that person is going there, and somebody is saying this is how they enjoying this kind of padel, and Allah knows best what not. But is that something within the limits of deen, that going out to some public place and then all non-mahrams also present there, and sometimes non-mahrams are playing with one another, and in the process shaitan is playing with everybody? Is this the direction that we take? And then we say, no, but only Muslims are there. But are the Muslims doing what is right? Muslims being there is one thing, but if Muslims are doing something wrong, does that then still, that becomes good enough that Muslims are doing it, so it's fine for us to be there? So this is part of the lesson of Qurbaani. That yes, we will desire a lot of things, we will want a lot of things, we will get attracted to a lot of things, but that's where Qurbaani is. That if it's not in accordance to the commands of Allah Ta'ala, we have to make Qurbaani of that desire. That is the greatest Qurbaani that's required of us. To make Qurbaani of the haram desires. Qurbaani of the desires that come, that take us towards something sinful. Qurbaani of those environments that are not conducive to deen. We cut it out of our lives. An environment that is not going to be conducive towards the spirit of Iman, the spirit of deen. So that's what we slaughter out of our lives. We cut that out. That's a Qurbaani.
अल्लाह अल्लाह कैसा प्यारा नाम है, आशिकों का मीना और जाम है।